The DigiPodcast, Digital Trends in Supply Chain Management.
Hello and welcome to our DigiPodcast. I'm Thomas Holzner from Siemens SCM Digi Network with the DigiPodcast, a podcast on digital and innovative topics for procurement in the future. Digitalization is becoming increasingly important for every company. At Siemens in particular, digitalization is a fundamental element for success. But how is digitalization practiced at Siemens Supply Chain Management? What do we focus on? The aspect of digital transformation and innovation is particularly close to our hearts. In our podcast, we highlight different aspects and share best practices with various digital experts and listen to their stories. Today I have Matthias Weidinger as my guest. Matthias is our HR business partner for Siemens Supply Chain Management and one of the biggest supporters and drivers of reverse mentoring, a system that turns old ways of thinking on their head, you can almost say. But what it means, I think Matthias is the right guy to explain us. So hi Matthias, nice to have you here. Wasn't my introduction of reverse mentoring right?
Hey Thomas, thanks for having me. And yes, pretty much. There was maybe something I would like to change. Reverse mentoring, it's not a system, it's more like a philosophy. But we will get back to that later.
So then let's go into details. So what's reverse mentoring? What's the difference to normal conventional mentoring?
So I guess we all know regular mentoring, where a more senior manager, hopefully or most of the time manager, is guiding a more younger colleague out of the own organization, normally through his or her career development. And there's nothing wrong with it. Reverse mentoring simply adds another dimension because it's about learning from each other. So reverse mentoring came up when we talked about learning organization and when social media got even more important also in a business perspective. The idea behind is bring two people together from two different generations. And as a lot of us know, because we do have our reverse mentors at home who takes care of all the technical stuff at home and teaches us how to deal with it, it's pretty much the same. A more younger colleague could enable the more senior manager to set up LinkedIn profiles, to really get into postings, to emphasize the need of social media, also in business terms, while a more senior manager learns from that reverse mentor. And in another direction, once they have a certain level of trust, it changes. So I can tell you from my own experience, I had a reverse mentor myself. And sometimes she said, I know, Matthias, we want to work on your social media profile today, but I'm in a management role since 4 months now. And I'm figuring out it's not very easy to lead people. They are demanding. And how did you do it when you were a younger manager? So we reached the topic of reverse mentoring after, let's say, 3 weeks.
Very comprehensive. So I hope that the outside world got now the difference to the normal mentoring. This means somehow with young and old and switched. But why are we doing this, or why is our company pushing this, and what's in for the guys who are participating?
So for myself, I have to say I had the situation in the team that I really had to lead across generations. And since I belong to the more typical classical Siemens leadership generation, I really had to learn how to adapt my leadership style to the people in my team. And the reverse mentor helped me. She was a little bit neutral from another organization to really reflect my own leadership behavior and correct it. So it was possible for me to get into a dialogue with her for a certain information or a certain message I wanted to send out to my team. And we were kind of working beforehand on how to shape that message that it really touches all people in my team.
Okay, this means a different perspective supported by the younger generation that helps you and your team, if I can rephrase it.
Absolutely. That's one facet. So it's about learning from each other to really be open as a more senior manager to the needs and the expectations of a more younger generation. That is something which I would describe in diversity of leadership or adaptable leadership as well in our terms, so that you are really flexible to enter new ways of leading a new generation in your team, as one example.
Okay, hopefully I got it. And this fits, from my point of view, somehow into this growth mindset as one of the strategic priorities of Siemens. So can you, as the specialist, a little bit explain how this is now from the whole setup, reverse mentoring and growth mindset?
it very well fits together. So growth mindset is about being open and learn, for example, as one element, learn out of your own behaviors or maybe also failures. So if you were not very successful in the way you are leading in the past, today, a reverse mentor could give you more insight in what you could do differently. And it's actually a safe environment before you phrase that message to your own team. So it's about getting a reflection as a leader, working with that reflection and really adapt your own behavior.
Sounds like a challenge for some of the old style leaders. Have you here some experiences in the meantime?
The funny thing is that most of the more senior management level also have experience with reverse mentors at home, as I said. It's about they know from their kids that they can learn from their kids. The barrier, the entry barrier we figured out is actually pretty low. They are really fascinated by this element of reverse mentor. In supply chain management, we already have a reverse mentor base, which we can provide, and they are pretty open to it.
Sounds great. So on top of the private reverse mentors, we are offering at Siemens professional reverse mentors for our, I would say, old school leadership team.
I wouldn't say old school leadership team because every old school has something good as well, a lot of experience. I would say for our traditional leadership level. Yes, of course. And these are colleagues, female and male colleagues out of the entire organization, also international, who have already had reverse mentor relationships. So they know what they are talking about.
So I think for the outside world, from my point of view, quite clear. It's a not easy topic, but Matthias explained us how a reverse mentoring approach fits and supports in the overall strategic priority of our company, growth mindset. Thanks for that. But Matthias, now coming to the most important question, who is Matthias?
Who is Matthias? So I guess I am someone who is absolutely passionate about people. That's the reason why I finally ended up in that business partner role, which I'm very much enjoying because it's all about people. It's all about transformation. And this is what I actually like. If you meet me in private, you will probably have a high chance to meet me somewhere outside, on a mountain, on a bike, wherever. I love being outside instead being trapped in my home office since 1 month. For 1 year, I'm sorry. And I'm absolutely passionate about rhythm.
As I'm coming from the Oberpfalz, could you please explain the word rhythm?
The word rhythm to me is kind of a release for my energy. So I'm playing a bass drum in a samba batteria. You know samba batterias probably from, for example, union strikes or union protest marches, where one of those batteries normally leads the entire group. So there's a high chance that you see me on a cover title of a newspaper leading a union demonstration with my samba drum, which is kind of interesting situation which I have as an HR guy.
I think that's a nice closing word because that's not reverse mentoring, but it's reverse participation. It fits to the topic. That was not planned, but I think it's great. So Matthias, thanks a lot for your insights and also to be quite open regarding what you're doing when you're not at work. I hope you on the outside you also enjoyed it. And to all our listeners, if you have questions about this topic, about growth mindset, please contact us. And otherwise, we are looking forward to entertain you with the next episode of the Siemens Supply Chain Management DigiPodcast as soon as possible. Yours, Thomas Holzner.
The DigiPodcast, Digital Trends in Supply Chain Management.